Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive, multifaceted story, one that's literally a collision of cutting-edge military drones, high-profile family business deals, and constitutional law. Based on our source materials, we are going to trace the direct line between a newly minted defense contract, the desperate need for counter-drone tech, and the complex legal controversies surrounding Operation Epic Fury. It's a fascinating look at how modern warfare, private enterprise, and executive authority all intersect. So let's get right into it.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the Guardian II interceptor, move on to the Powerus Pentagon contract, weigh merit versus nepotism, look at the War Powers resolution, and finally, wrap up with the mission name loophole.
Section 1. The Guardian II interceptor. Right now, the military is looking for some incredibly specific gear. And the Guardian II? Well, it isn't just your run-of-the-mill drone. It is a purpose-built counter-drone interceptor. It's low-cost, semi-autonomous, and super fast. Basically, it was designed specifically for the Middle East to take out Iranian Shahed-type attack drones. Keep this urgent military requirement in the back of your mind, because it's the whole foundation for the contract we're about to look at.
Which brings us to Section 2, the Powerus Pentagon contract.
The timeline here is honestly incredibly fast. Powerus was founded just last year in West Palm Beach. Then, in March, they went public after merging with a Trump-backed golf club company. Right after that merger, the president's eldest sons, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, jumped on the board of directors. Fast forward just a bit, they do a demo out at a facility in Arizona. And boom, they secure their very first weapons procurement contract to supply the Pentagon with these Guardian II interceptors.
Moving on to Section 3, merit versus nepotism.
Now, PowerJadis's president and co-founder Brett Villacodich is absolutely adamant that this is all about tactical merit. His point is crystal clear. The military isn't looking at an investor list. They're buying this system because they have an immediate, desperate need to counter Iranian drones. For him, it is 100% about the technology and the timing.
But, from the outside looking in, others see a completely different picture. Take Richard Painter, a former chief White House ethics lawyer under the Bush administration. He's sounding the alarm on potential political pressure. He suggests that Gulf states are under, quote, enormous pressure to buy these specific drones to appease the administration. He's basically arguing that the family stands to profit from an unauthorized conflict.
So we're looking at two totally different realities defining this narrative. On one hand, the Trump brothers insist they're acting strictly as private citizens. They say their dad isn't involved at all, and there's absolutely zero ethical breach here. But meanwhile, back in January, congressional Democrats officially started asking questions. They requested info to see if any conflicts of interest played a role in the Pentagon awarding contracts to companies tied to the president's sons.
Section 4, the War Powers resolution. To really grasp Painter's point about congressional consent, we need to understand the War Powers resolution. Think of it as a strict 60-day legal countdown for the executive branch. If the president sends U.S. forces into hostilities, the clock starts ticking. They have exactly 60 days to get official authorization from Congress. If they don't get it, by law, the military action has to stop.
Let's look at how that exact timeline played out for Operation Epic Fury. The hostilities kicked off on February 28th. Now, the administration originally argued it didn't legally constitute a war to avoid going to Congress right away. Then, a 2-week ceasefire started on April 7th. But here's the catch. By late April, that crucial 60-day legal window had completely run out. So, legally speaking, the administration was in a really tight spot.
So how do you navigate an expired deadline? Well, the administration made a fascinating legal argument. A senior official told the Associated Press that because of that April 7th ceasefire, the legally defined hostilities have technically, quote, terminated. By claiming the action is over, they're basically trying to bypass the need for a congressional vote entirely. It leaves Operation Epic Fury in this weird legal gray area without actually violating the 60-day rule.
But what happens if the conflict flares up again? That brings us to Section 5, the mission name loophole.
According to advice reportedly given by Richard Goldberg, a former National Security Council director, there is a highly unconventional legal workaround. Since the original mission, Operation Epic Fury, is bogged down by that expired 60-day clock, the proposed strategy is to literally just change the name. If you declare a fresh operation with a brand new designation, proponents argue you could theoretically reset the 60-day legal clock entirely. Boom. No explicit congressional approval needed.
But bringing it all back down to the battlefield necessity that sparked this whole explainer, Powerus insists we can't lose sight of the tactical reality. As Brett Villacodich points out, as a country, we are lagging behind in advanced drone tech.
For them, deploying systems like the Guardian 2 is just a necessary step to fix a massive vulnerability, regardless of the complex legal and ethical gymnastics happening in Washington.
Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought to wrap up today. We've seen how the rapid procurement of vital tech like the Guardian 2 collides with high-stakes corporate maneuvering and some incredibly creative legal workarounds. As private enterprise and executive authority get more and more tangled up in overseas conflicts, what does this ultimately mean for the future of congressional oversight? Think on that, because this intersection of tech, business, and law, it's only going to become more prominent.